100% transparency, honesty, and openness. You know, I'm a health coach, and I'm trying to be the best health coach I can be, which basically means the healthiest version of myself. So last week, after I did a liver flush, I started to stop eating. And the theory is, or the reason why I'm not eating, and I'll relate it to this here, where I have these dark circles under my eyes. So what it is that when somebody is conceived, you have mom's egg and you have dad's sperm, and that becomes one cell. So two become one. But then that one cell splits into two. And those two each split into two each, right? And then every cell has a common origin. And these two cells became the brain and the gut. So there's a teaching in the native tradition, which is body, mind, and spirit. Body comes first. So we are spiritual beings in a physical realm. And we can think only because we have this encasement for the brain. And all of our neurotransmitters, the pathways for electrical conductivity, including your thoughts, our thoughts, require proper gut function, because that's where all the neurotransmitters are made. So, I have a major focus on cleansing, and this next section, after first of all changing my menu, second of all flushing my liver and gallbladder, third of all, now I'm up to the intestinal cleanse or intestinal healing. And this intestine can only really heal as it's able to rest. Just like any other muscle, if you're continually using it, it's not going to be able to rest. It's going to deteriorate. And I'm 44 years old now, so I've had 44 years of not resting. See what I'm saying? Now, this particular spot started to clear up when I stopped eating, because the inflammation went down a little bit, and also the actual material inside the gut was lessened, because I kept pooping even though I wasn't eating. Balance. Jade, do you mean a balance of disease? Do you want to have a little bit of disease, or do you want to be healed? See, I'm a health coach. I can't be middle of the road. I have to be exemplary. And I help people. I try to help people who have disease. And we don't want to teach them that you can have a moderate amount of disease. Like people say, oh yeah, just let the kids have a little junk food. Let them have a little Adderall, Jade. Let them have a little heart disease and a little cancer. Balance out health with disease. Is that what you're talking about? Because I always say to that, no. What about a balance? No. No balance for disease. Sorry. Now you look like from your picture, you're young. You look like from your picture, you're young. so you can get away with things. But when somebody's on death's door, we're not gonna give them a little push over the edge. And that might be okay for you for now in your life, but this is Master Lukey health coach, not Master Lukey have a little bit of junk food. Okay? If you come to a martial arts academy and I'm telling you it's okay to get beat up a little bit, you wouldn't train with me. I'm only going to teach you the best moves that's going to protect you. So, for whatever reason, I came onto this earth and I'm not middle of the road, I'm extreme. And I have to be that way to be at a level where other people can be protected under me, right? So you're not going to come on here and see that it's okay to have a little junk food. That's for another channel. And I'm not judging, I'm just explaining to you. Okay? But you are going to see today something that's not perfectly healthy. And we're going to use this as a transition. A transition from, normal eating, which is like what? Coffee and milk and sugar in the morning, to a more healthier breakfast, which in this case is going to be a smoothie, which I'm going to flavor with coffee and vanilla and coconut sugar, but I'm also going to add Irish sea moss and pear for a bit of body. And let's see, it's going to have fiber. I'm debating on the pear. I think I'm going to put the pear in anyway, and we're going to turn this into kind of like an ice cream. Yeah, everybody has their own path, Jade. It's true. Consider, though, that your food choices have a greater impact on other people and the environment. On other people because there's a narrow gate that we walk through, and food impacts somebody's mood, so your energy affects everyone around you. That's one reason to take care of yourself to the best of your ability. Be the best person for everyone else, not just for your own enjoyment of junk food. Coffee is a drug. Sugar is a drug. And a lot of these junk foods are actually addictive. So we don't want to teach kids that it's okay to do drugs. But we can get along with a drug addict, or we can get along with somebody who's on drugs. Shouldn't use the word addict. It's just a behavior that can be changed. The other thing is a lot of these ingredients that are used in junk food actually are produced in a very environmentally destructive way. So you don't own the air, Jade, nobody does. You don't own the water, and nobody does. And therefore, if somebody is making money creating a product that is harmful to the greater environment, we can't say that that's something that should be balanced. That should be something that's something that should be eliminated. We have to eliminate the things that are harmful. We don't want to have a little bit of harm. Maybe that's okay for you to have a little bit of harm. And that's okay for me too. Because I'm going to do a little bit of harm right now with this coffee and coconut sugar. You emailed me and we talked a little bit, I mentioned a little bit about how I get triggered. So don't take it personally. Nobody take it personally if I'm critiquing your lifestyle. MMA.tv/ okay. So, get into it. Get into it now. There's the coffee that was brewed for Kathy's enema. There's a little bit left, and it's kind of mild. If you could see the color, it's really not dark at all. So we'll see how she comes out. I'm gonna put some vanilla in. Vanilla and such. Got some aloe too. Cool. Alright. I have so much material that I'm gonna have to make double batch. And this will be all I eat for the day. I'm the type of person that there can't be any food in the house if I'm fasting. For some reason, I was able to last week, but I think that was because I was still consuming calories in the form of maple syrup, coconut sugar, and honey. I think I also had maybe some coconut fat. I might have had a broth soup. Anyway, I think the actual calories was making me hungrier. So starting tomorrow, actually tomorrow night, I'll be doing a strict water fast. And the reason is that the intestines, like I've been saying, can only heal when they're resting, and they can only rest when they're empty. So if you take a nap, you're resting. But if you eat something and then take a nap, there's still food in the intestine, so they're not resting. the intestines have to empty out, and then once they're empty, that's when your rest begins. So last week I did the coffee enema. I I flushed my liver, I did the coffee enema, and then I was still pooping after that. I'm also taking these herbs which pull debris out of the intestines. So there's something called the mucoid plaque, also known as the biofilm. In the biofilm there can be things like mold, bacteria, fungus, parasites, heavy metals. So it's going to be a process. I think the old program I had said about 2 weeks of taking these herbs and basically not eating, but pooping still because the herbs are pulling junk out. So that's next for me. I'm trying to do what I can to clean out the fridge. And maybe that's just a cop-out to eat. I have been eating since the other day when I last streamed. And I was saying, I'm really tempted to eat. I did end up eating later that day. I had the leftover pepper stuffing. And I ate a bunch of stuff over the last, what's today, Wednesday? So I think it was Sunday maybe? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, today's day 3. My symptoms are starting to come back, all my aches and pains. And, this is the way that progress happens, which is not a straight line. So, I'm not too upset about it. I wish I didn't. But can't cry over spilled milk. It is what it is. I know what I gotta do. And so the program that I'm trained in is progressive. It's something that you can do as a transition. So it's not just like, oh, stop eating. You gotta broom the intestine. So for this recipe, there's pear, has a lot of fiber. Over here is aloe. I'm gonna put that in. That has fiber. Aloe's got a bunch of things in it that are good for digestion. Irish sea moss is going to be in there. So, it's not much in terms of, there's no, not a lot to digest because everything's kind of broken down already. But it's going to move. It's going to help move. So, net positive. For most people, this would be a net positive meal or recipe. Because, there's no dairy. It's like a Frappuccino, but no dairy. The sugar is low glycemic, comparatively. So, I don't know. I'm okay with it, I guess. Gotta be careful with aloe because it can change the flavor. But I'm making it such a big batch, it's gonna be very diluted. Okay. Polymucoglucosaccharides. That's the word of the day. It's in aloe. I believe that's what gives it the slime. Next is going to be the sea moss. Got a decent amount in here. Just see if I can dump it in. Yep. Okay. Coconut fat. Ooh, forgot about that. Coconut fat, almost forgot about that. With a mouse turd on top of the lid. Great. Son of a... Hold on. That looks like a mouse turd. Holy. Good thing this is just for me. Oh my god. A fucking piece of mouse shit just almost fell in my smoothie. I really gotta do something about these bastards. Alright, that's a lot of coconut. Sometimes I do that. I just put way too much in to get rid of it. A lot of coconut. Here comes a lot of vanilla. It's a lot of vanilla. It's gonna be like a French vanilla flavor. Okay, now the coffee and the sugar. Half cup, full cup, another half cup. Why? Because it's a big batch. This is probably gonna make 4 blenders full. Loads of vitamins. Vitamins are helpful, and if you get what's called a whole food plant-based vitamin mineral complex, you gotta watch out with vitamins because they can be analog. Analog means a synthetic source, and it looks like the actual vitamin that comes in nature, but it's not absorbable. So if you can get a vitamin that's from a food source, it's hard to get all the nutrition we need from food these days because apparently all of the soil's been depleted or something. So some people got to take vitamins, you know, and it's helpful. It's shown to be helpful as long as you get a good quality. And the herbs, yeah, herbs are similar to that because they have effects on the body. And then Jade, I'm just thinking about what you said, you know. The longest lived people are frugal eaters. So, you know, you say you eat just a little bit of junk food. If you eat a little of anything, it's going to be better for you than a lot. You know, people like me who are gluttons, we don't live long. But people who kind of eat like a bird, just pick, or they eat they eat what's on their plate and they don't go back for seconds, or, you know, they just don't have a big appetite, maybe. You're going to be better off long term. Okay, it tastes really good. The vanilla's coming through. Tastes a little coffee too. And I do taste the aloe a little bit. Okay. Now I'm gonna put ice to the top. I don't have this recipe written down in terms of measurements, but you know, if anybody wants to know anything that I make, I try to help out. You know, like you asked about the stuffed mushrooms the other day. I could have said, you know, I made it on video, just go watch. But I try to, you know, help out the best I can. But basically, you know, your core ingredients for any smoothie is your sweet and your fat, which was the coconut and the palm sugar. But also, one of the features of the program that I do is the Irish sea moss. And you can see over here, I got 2 mason jars full of the Irish moss gel. So that's really useful in smoothies, ice creams, but also it's used in breads and chips. Like over here, I got buckwheat that I just started to soak. I'm gonna take that out of the jar tonight and put it in a sprouting bag. And over the next probably 2 days, I'll have buckwheat sprouts. Buckwheat sprouts is the best ingredient for crackers and chips because when it dehydrates, it gives it a snap. Flax is the major one that people use. But I noticed that flax, for some reason, when it dehydrates, it's kind of chewy. And especially mixed with the Irish moss, the breads are, it's good for flexible, for being flexible. If you want to make a wrap, flax and moss is the major ingredient. But you want like a snap, a ginger snap, or a cracker like I'm making. The buckwheat's the best. I don't know how I got into that. I'm trying to backtrack in my thoughts. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to put a little more. Not trying to make it watery, but think that'll be good. Ew, spurt it out. Okay. Now. If you ever had like an iced coffee, Frappuccino type of thing, that's what this is. In hindsight, I probably should use lecithin because I can see how the coconut's kind of separated a little bit. There's like little particles of coconut in there because it's especially with the cold coffee and the cold ice. You get these fat globules. I don't know if you could see. Tiny little fat globules. It's okay, it's still gonna be yummy. Somebody's gotta help me eat these. If I have all this, it's too much caffeine. Who's gonna help me eat these? I can't ship them. You gotta come to Limbrook. Okay, so these are lemonade. So Kathy, she forgot them. So, you guys are witnessing the end of my coffee days. I actually haven't had coffee in a few days already because when I broke my fast on Sunday, I was so down, like damn, I'm a failure, blah blah blah. But then I'm like, alright, how can I make this a positive thing? If I'm eating, but I'm not doing coffee or sugar, then it's a positive. So I'm like, alright, I'm eating, but I'm gonna keep moving forward. So for me, I was using marijuana in the past as a alternative to eating because the eating was harming me. It got to the point where my stomach just couldn't handle it, my intestines. So I would smoke weed or eat weed and then not eat food. But then I was like, you know what, I have to get off all substances Because like I was telling you, Jade, as the health coach, as Master Luki, I have to be exemplary. I can't be like telling people to do stuff and I'm like not following the path, you know? So I'm like, alright, get off all substances. And so I stopped doing weed. I did that on camera last week. And I've been tempted, especially on Sunday when I was thinking of eating. I was like, oh shoot, maybe I'll just have weed instead. But I didn't have the weed. I did eat. And I was like, alright, so what's next? What's next on the list to get rid of? Coffee and sugar. So my transition from here, the coconut sugar, is going to be the honey, which is what's in the lemonade. And so lemonade is going to be tomorrow, and then tomorrow's what, Thursday? Then Friday I'll be on no food. Wow, I just licked the tamper, and boy is that yummy. The vanilla, it's so interesting how vanilla by itself isn't very tasty, but when it's sweetened it just pops. It's just popping. Okay. I'm gonna save some for a glass for me right now. So anybody interested in transitioning to a healthy yeah, you can that's the reason why they're regulated, because they actually can have a toxic effect. But if you look in the description of the vitamin, look for keywords like whole food and plant-based, food source, that type of stuff. I think food source is the right one. I know whole food is one. But you gotta realize that no vitamin is natural by itself. Vitamin C in a fruit is different than vitamin C in a pill, because there's no isolate. There's no isolate in nature, right? Everything has these other elements that come with it. So that would be what you gotta look out for, is the words whole food and complex. So it's supposed to all come together. Obviously the food is, if you can get it from the food, it's the best. And that's one of the reasons, besides me being broke and not being able to afford any supplements, That's one of the reasons why I don't take supplements, is because you know, I want people to be able to do this program if they can't get supplements. You know, just all food, if possible. A lot of people do supplements, and that's okay, and that's good for them. They sell supplements, they promote supplements. I'm not going to compete with that. Oh. Wow. So much vanilla. Holy. It's kind of fruity, actually. Or maybe that's the pear. Yeah, that's what it is. The pear and the vanilla, though? Wow. I kind of wish I had a straw. Oh, maybe I do, actually. I just thought of something. What if I had multiple webcams in here? And so I wouldn't have to move the camera around. You know, one cam pointing at here, one cam with like a full body shot, one cam close up, one on the sink, three cams. That's cool, you eat out once in a while. Yeah, it's the social. Human is a social animal, and that's healthy. I used to be able to get away with not eating by saying I had a fight coming up. Now I just say I'm fasting. Because I'm sensitive, Jade. It's life or death for me. But hopefully you'll never get to that point. Hopefully you'll have a nice, balanced life. Live now, Van Boys. Rat in my room. Okay. So... I guess a couple of things of note. Last night I uploaded Jub's book to Amazon. It's called Correcting Metabolic Neuropathy. And the idea is that that's weird. I must have accidentally pressed the mute button. Sorry. Thanks a lot, Jamie. Appreciate that. I would have been talking. I was about to go on a rant too. So there's more nerve endings connected to the intestine than in the entire spinal cord. Now that's a nice kind of saying, but you have to think about it. Just think about it for a second. There's more nerves connected to the intestine than there are in the entire spinal cord. So what's the spinal cord? It's the brain controlling the body. The brain sending signals down the spinal cord. Okay? So the spinal cord is the brain's connection to the body. So if there's more nerves in the intestine than in the spinal cord, that means there's a stronger nerve connection from the body to the gut than there is from the body to the brain, or the brain to the body. That's what's meant when they say the primary brain. The gut is the primary brain. That's a good question, Jamie. The fact of the matter is that because it's such a new science, or a new development in science, people don't know that all of their feelings are coming from the intestine. Just think of psychology and psychiatry. Could you imagine the 100 years and thousands of years, 100 years for psychiatry, thousands of years of psychology studying people's emotions? They're actually talking about physical places in the gut that correspond to places in the brain. So when you think that your intestines have no feelings, your intestines are responsible for all the feelings. That people can feel a certain way up here, but it's dependent on the health of the gut down here. And this is, oh, there's a mouse. You little bastard! Something called blood perfusion. So imagine there's a hole. There's a hole here. Let me just take the top of the skull off, right? You take the top of the skull off, and you look at the brain, and you see like all the blood, right? And it's like it's moving around. You know what I'm saying? It's like a pool of blood around the brain. Maybe it's not red blood. It's kind of like brain fluid. But perfusion is, can the blood and the energy get to the areas of the brain? And that requires neurotransmitters, which are made down here. So every spot up here corresponds to a spot down here. The bacteria and the relationship of the bacteria to our cells is what produces the neurotransmitters, which allow the conduction of energy and blood flow to areas of the brain. So a lot of research is done into something called SPECT, or with something called SPECT, scanning positron electron continuum topography, I think. I'll look it up. But they're using these scans to see where the energy is in the brain. And every emotion Every thought has a different pattern of electricity. It's the technology that they use to read people's brain waves and read people's minds through remote viewing with radars and things. They can look into your house and know what you're thinking because they can see the shape and color of your brain activity. It's a picture that they've mapped out, just like they mapped out the human genome. They mapped out the human language in the brain. So when you're thinking, you have these words in your mind, and that's creating, or that's corresponding to a picture that they can see, or a movie that they can see, a visual that they can see with on a screen. So they go, oh, this shape means this thought or this word. Think of a brain, think of the shape of a brain, think of where the electricity could go into the brain, how intense is that electricity. So it's a new technology. You don't hear about it much. Anyway, every emotion has a corresponding organ and place in the gut. So you think you don't have pain down there, but anytime you feel uneasy, trust your gut, right? People say trust your gut. That's a feeling. Now, you think you don't have pain down there, but I invite you to take your hand, come down to the lower right hip bone, okay? I'm gonna undo my belt for this. And people do have pain with colitis, Crohn's, and there's degrees. You could be operating on a low level cortisol. You could be operating on a low level anxiety. That anxiety is pain. You have perceptible pain and you have imperceptible pain. You have stress. Stress and pain are on the same scale. It's like a concussion. A concussion doesn't, oh, you could use this thing right here. A concussion doesn't start here. This might be where somebody gets knocked out. This might be where somebody dies. But all of this subconcussive impact is on the scale of concussion. So here, this could be shaking your head. This could be headbang to heavy metal music. This could be, headbutting a ball in soccer. This could be whiplash in a car accident, getting knocked out in a fight. This could be getting rocked in a fight or in sparring. This could be getting punched in the head in sparring and powering through it. You see? So this is also pain. This is also stress. You could be a perfect newborn baby, but I'll tell you what, mom wasn't eating healthy. You automatically have a condition in your gut from mom not eating right, okay? So you start out here. Kids get a tummy ache, you know what I'm saying? So you think you don't have pain, but you're just not here yet. Maybe you're here, if that makes sense. Do cranial nerves go to the gut? If so, which ones? Danny. RN, you should know that. Are you trolling? Are you trolling because you know the answer and you think I don't? I'm going to look it up. Which cranial nerves go to the gut? Which cranial nerves go to the gut? Vagus nerve. You knew that, Danny. Come on, you're trolling me now. The vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve running from your brain all the way to the intestine. The left goes down the left side and the right goes down the right side. The vagal enteric nervous system, yeah. You knew that, Danny. Come on. You're trolling. Good one, though. There you go, guys. Danny, open the door for us. The vagal enteric nervous system. I'll read you a little bit from Jub's book that I just published. I don't think it's up yet. I'm just gonna check my email and see if I got a notification from no. No, I haven't got a notification back yet. But I'll read a little bit. Maybe we can find something about the vagal enteric nervous system. There's 3 books in one. Metabolic Neuropathy 1, Metabolic Neuropathy 2, and Correcting Metabolic Neuropathy. Alright. And then I guess I'll end the stream after this. This is the very beginning of the book, okay? What keeps a brain from being overwhelmed? Is it that several reflexive actions can have taken place? Information is stored and retrieved by electrical activity. A neuron requires recovery time. Recovery time is a moment in time where no information can be possible to send. There is also an all or nothing phenomena where 78% of the electrical stimulus is necessary to pass an excitatory message onto the brain. If you only have 77% electrical stimulus, it will not work. Inhibitory neurons can overwhelm excitation and cause a hesitation pattern. Components of the brain shared in some tasks are incompatible with neural structures occupied by internal held prejudice of a trauma reaction syndrome. Wow, that's pretty crazy. He's saying here, components of the brain shared in some tasks are incompatible with neural structures occupied by internal held prejudice of a trauma reaction syndrome. So because of trauma, somebody can get stuck in life and they just can't. They can't do the action necessary to move forward. That's what I'm getting out of it. Like you want to say something, but you just can't get the words out. The pulvinar, a component of the basal ganglia of the brain, enhances and amplifies attention of one's intended outcome. You have to bring the phenomenon of attention into consciousness, and to this end, the frontal cortex is vital. Yet in metabolic neuropathy, this is generally dysfunctional. The basal ganglia require glutathione peroxidase to function. Without necessary elements produced by healthy intestinal flora, one can have been challenged by attention deficit disorder and minimal brain dysfunction. Most are metabolic neuropathy. Pellagra caused hysteria and was healed by use of niacin and discovered to be a vitamin B deficiency. Some 95% of neurotransmitters are produced by the brain of the gut. Executive guidance is only accessed through interest because being aversive engages the amygdala, which can have neurologically inhibited the frontal cortex and the pleasure system. Such an occurrence as engaging the amygdala creates diametrically opposed structures and states of body and mind than the aims of the executive guidance. As the medial frontal cortexes of a metabolic neuropathy, a condition of alien conduct occurs where deliberate movement, not willed consciously, can get carried out like dream walking. Wow. The known universe of organized structure at a rate of brain cell attrition, not replaced, would be seriously impaired. This at a measured average rate of 50,000 neurons per day. Some 10% of all brain cells and more can have died that were present at birth by the age of 70. Each thought is within a network of a specific synaptic configuration that becomes defined by use. Some 90% of the brain cells are glial cells. Glial cells play a role in transfer, retrieval, and storage of information. Studies show that glial cells are continuously replaced and can become differentiated and more specialized from use over time. I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm going to fast forward. Neural pathways can be opened up as the body can detoxify itself by having good intestinal probiotic function. Jubb's Life Colloid Probiotic provides vitamin, mineral, amino acid, and fatty acid to become balanced. Detoxification can occur, and antibody is stored for immediate use by the immune system. Brain and nerve detoxification can occur. Metabolism is vital. The aldehyde path is a bottleneck where, as it is cleared by Jubb's Life Colloid Probiotic, detoxification can occur. Sensitivity by mold mycotoxin and neurotransmitter vitamin mineral deficiency and a simple pesticide can mimic an extreme chemical sensitivity when one has become a universal reactor. That's another word for leaky gut. What's up, Jade? Human interaction, huh? That's probably the most important thing. I had a major focus on food, and it was a cause of my divorce and losing my kids. And if I could go back in time, I wouldn't make it such a big deal to keep the family together. I think that would have been the most important thing. Universal reactor is when you have, like me, a leaky gut, and all of the things eaten, whether it's healthy or not, ends up in the bloodstream. So it becomes an extreme chemical sensitivity. Jubb's Life Colloid Probiotic promotes biotin, B12, B17, vitamin C, and K synthesis. A normal person has about a half a pound of symbiotic life colloid, half a pound of healthy bacteria. Bowel toxins such as putrescine, cadaverine, and other mycotoxins are potent neurotoxins. They compete for serotonin and histamine for the above required diamine oxidase to be detoxified. Jubb's Life Colloid Probiotic oxidizes back to hydrocarbon all potentially reactive carcinogen and neurotoxins. Life Colloid is oligoantigenic, non-allergen. If you've got good gut flora, then B-glucuronidase recycles glutathione. I'm fast forwarding. Colloidal biology is a real hardcore science based more accurate map of the actual territory than what's commonly of a paradigm paralysis put. Colloidal biology is logical and based on valid scientific construct, and has contextual validity and expert validity. What's herein in this book of metabolic neuropathy is repeatable. No other insight is more perfectly put, nor will one be put that crosses what's put herein. Great success can be achieved applying life food by doing Jubb's cell rejuvenation and applying the life colloid probiotic. And in this way, you maximize your brain power, you elevate mood, sharpen memory, you improve mental function, and reverse cognitive and emotional decline. That cognitive and emotional function is dependent on metabolism of nutrient as a construct. No other approach has as deep a scientific consideration and is totally not logical. A single underlying universal condition of a loss of proper cell respiration is a fact. In colloidal biology, all cells, both plant and animal, can exist in a more primitive state, undifferentiated or differentiated, or neoplastic. This has been observed over time and has expert validity. Though many unique cells exist, metabolic mitochondria, primitive amino acid, and organic metal complex, the electron transfer chain is unchanged basically in plant and animal cells. A voltage of a cell in its oxidative metabolic state keeps B17 out, yet lower voltage cells lyse. One more. I'm gonna go to the end. Stachybotrys, black mold, can of itself cause severe anxiety and sleep disturbance. You know, I went down because Vlad moved in, and we went down to the basement. To turn his water on. As soon as I went in, I smelled the black mold, and I was like, "Wow, I lived here 10 years. No wonder my hair fucking got so thin. I had terrible anxiety and depression to the point of suicidal ideation." I mean, it's a little better up here. I'm dealing with toxicoplasmosis now from the mouse shit, and possibly a natural gas leak, which is deadly. So, keep your fingers crossed, Jade. I want to turn this place into a health center, and to do that is going to take a lot of renovation, which is going to take a lot of money, which is going to take a lot of popularity. So, just to bring it all full circle, I'm starting my fast again. This is going to come down. I'm going to be working out, so this is going to come up. And, hopefully the result will be some type of notoriety that equates to monetary gain. You know? Oh, there's a mouse. Oh, he disappeared. All right. Anyway, anybody wants to connect with me, if you go to masterluki.com, right on the front page is my contact info, so hit me up anytime.